connect.
Most brains seek a pattern that's familiar. My brain doesn't work that way.
Braxton, it's me, your brother. Can you be in California in 24 hours?
But just call it. How have you been? Merry Christmas. Happy birthday.
But it's not your birthday. Birthday's November 11th.
Unbelievable.
Hi.
Hi, Ben. This is the third time I have the honor of interview. For me, as I said
Nice to speak
before.
with you again.
Yeah, you are O'Banion, you are Holden McNeil, close to my
Wow,
heart.
you're going back.
Yeah,
That's
man.
the Chasing Amy and Dazing Confused. It's the 92 and 94. You're
and the
losing
best-
most of your audience, I hate to say it. But yeah.
And the best Batman of history. Saying that,
Thank
Sean, nice to meet you. Fan of your work too. And now the interview. Ben, there is a clear evolution for me here in Christian Wolf, essentially in his humor, but it's a little more pronounced, I think. How do you decide on that, you and Gavin, or how do you work on it?
Well, one of the things that I agree with you. There's a lot of, there's like when I watch the movie with an audience, there's a lot of laughter, right? But it's not a comedy in the sense of like here's a setup punchline joke or even a construct where you take a character, you put them in a situation, and there's something funny about it. It's really about, like Gavin approaches the movies about sort of in a very serious way. It's just that sometimes life, even in its most serious, can be quite funny, mostly because of, in particular, is because to work with John, who's so brilliant, and we were of such like minds. We got to play characters that wanted something from each other, but spoke a different language and couldn't figure out how to say it, and then started to, like siblings do, won't like take pleasure in torturing each other. And it was a very fun illustration of that sibling relationship. Even one where it's like, for my character, the moment's not funny when he like takes the sunscreen and throws it off the roof of the thing, but I have to say, sitting in the audience is kind of funny. And that was kind of emblematic of what the humor was, which is the kind that I like the best.
Sean, you are now like a man of action, your roles, and while this role includes action, has a lot of layers. I want to know what was for you to build that, the dynamic between the brothers, and it's like this maybe a buddy movie for you?
Look, I think everything in this movie has, comes from real deep intention, across the board. Everybody who made this movie wanted to make a wonderful movie. They weren't just taking an opportunity. The action comes at a cost. The violence comes at a cost. I think for men like this, one thing that is existed between them their entire lives is the way that was probably the easiest way for them to tell each other that they loved each other was to get each other's back and to be violent for each other. I think that's a really real thing among certain men. And I think all they want is to tell each other that they love each other in different ways, but that is one way that they're very fluent with. And so it wasn't just action for action's sake. It wasn't just great sequences. They are cool, and the audience will love them. But I think what makes it special is that it's brothers getting each other's back. They're fighting with each other, not necessarily against somebody else. And that's the motivation, and it's always present.
Ben, about 20 years ago, in an interview, you predicted the future of music. And about 10 years ago, you predicted the future of movies and streaming. I was thinking in the accountant number 3, and maybe in 9 years, for you, the movie business in a few years, what's going to look like between AI and...
I think you're being unduly kind to me, but I was you make a broad enough generalization and almost any prediction will come true. How is the movie business going to change actually is a very hard thing to know. And my guess is that, two things will happen. One is that it becomes more global, like as you see, where everybody around the world will be able to watch the same thing. So we'll be exposed to, has this already happened, for example, whether it's Narcos or Money Heist, or so many shows like English-speaking audiences are starting to watch more Spanish language content because it's on Netflix or that they're subscribing to, and it's getting kicked up in the algorithm, and people are thinking, maybe this is good, and which I think only enriches the American sort of movie-going experience in a way that other countries have had for some time, where they are not, the audiences aren't so sort of. It's not such a significant hurdle to watch a film that's recorded originally in another language. I think also you'll get more specific like siloing of interests, and that may not be a good thing, as things like algorithms, whether you look on social media or even now on streaming services that seek to divine your tastes and provide you something consistent with your tastes. Yes, there is a benefit because it's like, whoa, I like, documentaries, filmed in Argentina, and here's another one. But it also may preclude you from getting exposed to something that you may not have heard about. And so in a way, by servicing what it knows you are already interested in, it actually can kind of block out other things. It's the way you can look at your social media feed and somebody else's and feel like they're living in two different universes. I think movies will have to become less expensive. I think the theater going experience will change because, and I think certain kinds of movies are going to migrate more to streaming. And part of that's because people have better televisions, and part of it's because the act of going out to a movie theater is starting to mean something different. In the case of The Accountant, I think this is a movie that really should be seen in a theater. It's very much enriched by being seen in a theater. And my personal hope in terms of this business is to try to demonstrate that you can make films that both have an intelligence and a complexity and are satisfying in a genre context as well, and that, the kinds of movies that I like, and to try to do them as well as possible so that, because a big part of getting somebody to invest capital in a movie is showing that kind of movie has been successful in the past. So for my own little narrow world, that's my goal, and I appreciate you crediting me for the Nostradamus, but I think, I don't know, I'm sure I've had as many totally false predictions as accurate ones.
Thank you so much, man.